From Afrobeats to Nollywood, fashion and academia, Nigerians are shaping global culture and thought. Our music fills clubs in Europe, our films entertain families in the Caribbean, our designers light up runways in Milan and Paris. Our academics lead breakthroughs in universities across North America. Still, ask the world about Nigeria, and many begin their answers with the familiar: corruption, poverty, violence. The negative narratives persist, often drowning out the excellence that Nigerians embody every day, both at home and abroad. One of the clearest signs of the gap between our soft power and our reputation is how difficult it remains for many Nigerians to access the very countries where their culture and talents are celebrated. Brand Nigeria is not about perception alone. It's about truth, values, and the lived experience of a people determined to redefine themselves. Welcome to another episode of the Leading Women Show Season 4, themed The Nigeria We Want. Brought to you by our partners, the National Endowment for Democracy and Luminate. I'm your host, Abosede Jojagan. In this episode, Brand Nigeria, Reputation and Soft Power, we explore the impressive soft power our creativity and innovation grants us around the world, and the gap that sadly persists in our reputation. Please welcome Camille Olufowobi, a true embodiment of thinking globally and acting locally. He's lived, schooled, worked, and/or visited 30+ countries on 5 continents. He considers himself a global citizen with a passion for Africa. With more than 20 years of global experience across government, corporate, and entrepreneurial sectors, Camille offers a unique blend of commercial acumen, diplomatic insight, and strategic leadership. And our second guest for today is Morayo Afolabi Brown, a seasoned media content creator and founder of MAB Studios, with 15 years experience in the industry and arguably one of the leading TV hosts in Nigeria. She previously worked at HITV, Nigeria's foremost indigenous cable station, as commercial director and group head content development and acquisition, and was most recently managing director at TVC Entertainment, where she created and produced top-rated daily content, including the #1 breakfast chat show on Nigerian television, Your View. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation, so let's dive Welcome to today's episode. We're talking Brand Nigeria, Reputation and Soft Power. And I'm so excited today to have Camille and Morayo. Honestly, I couldn't think of 2 better guests to have for this conversation. So let us dive in. I want to start with you, Camille. How would you describe Brand Nigeria as it currently is?
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for staying true to your purpose and giving voice to all of us. So thank you so much. Season 4, I was saying, is not being. So let's give her a round of applause. I mean, it's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Incredible work. When we talk about brand and perception, when I thought about the conversation we're going to have today, I wanted to start, if you permit me, just to ask you and the audience watching, when I say Germany, what comes to mind?
Like engineering.
Engineering,
that
German
sort of thing.
engineering,
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly.
When I say Paris, what comes to mind?
Fashion.
Love,
yeah.
right? When I say China, what comes to mind? Maybe manufacturing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Industry,
Production,
exactly. When I say Italy, you can think of fashion, you can think of pizza.
Yeah.
When I say Nigeria,
You gotta think twice, right?
what comes to mind, right?
Unfortunately, it's not good.
Well, it is getting better.
Yes.
Yes.
So today's topic is about brand Nigeria. And we, the people, are the brand.
This is
When
true.
people meet you, the first line of contact anyone has with Nigeria is our people.
That's right.
And in every country, they're good and they're not so good people. And what we've done with Brand Nigeria, one, as citizens, is we are not conscious and intentional of making sure that the best of us, right, the stories and the narratives that we're creating supersedes, the not so good. And the world is kind of lashed, and bad news travels fast, so they'll hold on to that.
Right.
Growing up in the U.S., when people think Nigeria, they think this was back in, not to give away my age, in the 90s, right? When I was in high school in the U.S. and you mention Nigeria, and the first thing they think about is 419. It's crime. It's scammers. I get this one a lot. The Nigerian prince, right? Who sends those Nigerian prince emails?
Yeah.
So over time, the world, people will even scam you. They're not Nigerians, in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Even people who don't look like us will run scam syndicates and claim they're Nigerians. So because we're not managing that brand, because we've just let anybody else manage that narrative, that's why our brand is where it is today. So for the purpose of this conversation today is, how do we move it from being reactive? We're reactive. It's when they say something bad that we start to defend rather than being proactive about building that brand Nigeria. And we're on a great track. We're definitely getting there. Afrobeats, Nollywood, we're doing some amazing things right now. Nigeria should be very proud of itself. You can give Nigeria a big round of applause.
Mario,
Yeah.
are you as optimistic as Camille is?
Absolutely, even more so. Because we're talking about
What is your assessment? I want us to be honest.
I'll be honest. But you're talking about your experience in the US. During prom night in the US, when I was going to high school, when I was leaving high school in the US, my prom date said he was trying to impress me with a limousine, saying that you've never seen a limousine before, right? He took me on a date. He said because that I used to ride elephants in Africa.
Wow.
So he was trying to impress me with and I'm thinking to myself, wow. Only if you know. but you see, that's all about perception. Perception is both internal and external. How do we see ourselves? It's how we see ourselves that others will see us. The truth is, yes, I was telling Camille earlier that 5-10 years ago, when you think Nigeria, the first thing that comes to our mind is 419. But the truth is, it's changing. And first, we have to thank the Nigerians in diaspora. They've done a lot of work in laundering and changing our image to a better perception, because Afrobeats has been exported, our food, our culture, our fashion has been exported through the diaspora. So I think they have consciously been able to redefine who we are with their education. Many of them, the smartest Africans that live abroad. So 1 in 5 Africans in the next few years is going to be Nigerian. So the truth is that we have over 17 million Nigerians living outside the country. These are our cherished citizens that we must be able to see them as partners. These are people that we need to help us change the image of Nigerians internationally, because it's going to help. It's going to be a direct influence on how foreign investors come in, how people see us, how people engage with our citizens, even within and outside Nigeria. So I'm very optimistic because of our diaspora. I'm very optimistic because our young Nigerians who are getting educated today are seeing the responsibility in taking the brand Nigeria outside the country. So I think the issue I have is the Nigerians in Nigeria. We need to be able to begin to see ourselves for who we truly are. Remove the colonialization that we've had that has totally diminished our worth and dignity over the years, and begin to see us through the lens of these people who are making our light so shine outside the country. Because if you hear the amazing things Nigerians are doing outside the country, you feel proud that, oh my goodness, are we the ones that are here in top companies abroad? You should feel proud of that.
And a lot of them were educated here.
Exactly.
Right, absolutely.
They went to University of Lagos. They went to OAU. They are doctors. And they go there, do a few courses, they pass, and they're doing well. So that is a sense of pride. So that's brand Nigeria. And so the issue for me now is those of us here must begin to see ourselves differently.
And I think we're going to talk about some of that. But I want to talk about soft power. People hear it, and I think it's, it sounds nice, doesn't it? Like soft power.
Soft power,
right?
Absolutely.
But can we talk about Nigeria's soft power? And what does that really mean? Like, let's break it down.
Sure. The beauty of soft power is it's culture. It's your intangible. Right.
You were saying there's an index.
There's a global index that actually tracks the soft power of many countries. And the good news is Nigeria is actually moving up on that index. Currently, we are 77. Last year, we were 79 on that index.
This is
out of 160 plus countries that it tracks. So it's not all, gloom. So soft power has definitely opened a lot of doors for us. You were talking about, Afrobeats. Afrobeats originated right here in Lagos from the fellas, the Burners, Wizkid. They have gone places, and opened doors for us. So soft power is great, but now how do we take that soft power and convert it to hard power?
Absolutely.
Now, what hard power, for example, is policy. You're a student of policy, right? How do we take that to begin to change the lives of our people? How do we ensure governance and institutions are more credible, right? To change the lives of our people. The doors have been opened. They will listen to you now because you're Nigerian, because they love that Burner song, right? But then when you get into that, how do you close that deal for the benefit of Nigeria?
I love that. How do we turn soft power into
hard power?
Well, Morayo, soft power to you, what does it mean? I mean, the one that obviously all of us get is Nollywood, right? We were talking about it earlier. Our lingua is now becoming, everybody says Oga, for example. That's an example. Or chief, So what is soft power? When you hear soft power in the context of Nigeria, what does that mean?
Soft power is so, it's so profound. And Americans have used soft power over the years through their Hollywood. I mean, if we go back to the movies, even back in the days of the World War, how Hollywood took control of how Americans were seeing their boys at the war front, seeing how America was winning the war. Every movie. If you can't even remember that far back, let me remind you of 9/11. Immediately after 9/11, Hollywood got to work. They started doing movies about firefighters, movies about police officers, LAPDs, NYPDs. Everybody, all the sitcoms were all tailored towards letting Americans know how important firefighters were. They immediately aligned. So the soft power is in storytelling. It is so important. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for re-engineering the minds of Nigerians. You see, Hollywood have been doing that for decades and centuries. And Nollywood needs to wake up. How many of you watched 24? Years back, I'm not sure how many of you watched 24. 24 has been telling us exactly what video phone calls,
prophetic.
WhatsApp calls. We didn't even know what was possible. Tell me WhatsApp call when 24 came out. But Hollywood told you, gave you an inkling, already sent it out there to tell you guys, listen, something is coming. How are you going to live in a world where you can actually speak to somebody on the other side visibly?
Absolutely.
Knowledge 24 did that. But fast forward, today it's normalcy. When you see things in the movies, Hollywood is suggesting to you. That's what Nollywood needs to start doing. How can we begin to build an identity for Nigerians? I was telling a Nollywood actor recently, I said, my child cannot envision a policeman that doesn't take bribe. Because her entire life, She's been told that all they do is collect bribes. When would your movie show a Nigerian police who is responsible, who actually does the job, who they can enter a police station that is clean, that is crisp, that actually wants to help, serves the people. Right. When your movie starts sowing that seed into my child, in next 15, 10 years, he might even want to become a police officer.
Yes.
Correct.
Because you've sowed that seed. How do you begin to show a hospital that actually functions? Build a hospital set that actually helps Nigerians. Because the truth is that doctors today, they don't know better. They've been born and raised in a society where patients don't matter.
Yes.
So even though they're educated, they don't see better. But if Nollywood begins to sow that seed, the doctors that you're going to birth, they begin to grow and to see how important it is to save lives. Right. You see, storytelling must be packaged, must be told through Nollywood, even through our behaviors, through leadership, through exemplary leadership. All these things must be done. It's systematic. Nothing just drops from heaven.
I mean, Mariah is looking into my questions. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely.
Because, Camille, my next question is literally, how have our leadership behaviors
Gotcha.
either inspired or damaged our reputation as a country?
You know, again, I keep saying, we the people.
We the people.
We the people. We are our leaders. Our leaders are us.
This is true.
Right? So it is the environment in which we're building and cultivating these leaders. And I just want to go back to something Mariah touched on, and the power of storytelling.
Yes.
When the current US president said they were coming to Nigeria, right? The reason why it struck fear in the heart of everybody is because every movie you've watched, they've showed you the American army. It's one of the best armies in the world. Do you know how many movies the Pentagon has commissioned with Hollywood to tell those stories of America being a powerful military might? Exactly. So the power of storytelling is so important, right? But we cannot tell stories that are untrue. Let's put it that way. We need to tell those stories because we want to change behavior, right? We want to change behavior, yes, but we can't tell untruths. So what that means is that our stories must, especially now, tell us where we are and where we need to go, right?
I disagree with you, Camille.
I think that's an interesting framing, and let
me disagree. I agree. I hear you, and that's what we've been doing. Nollywood has been telling us what we know. We know these things happen.
Gotcha.
I don't want you to remind me of who I am. Gotcha. I already know. Paint me a picture.
Gotcha.
Paint me a picture of the future.
Of the possibilities.
Of the possibility.
Correct.
Because a child who living in Alabama, all he knows is the police officer, the only thing the police officer does there is pick up a cat from the tree. Because there's probably hardly any crime in Alabama community, the county he lives in. Because police officers, the sheriff just walks down the street, helps the cat down from the tree. But he's inspired by NYPD, who is constantly shooting guns down Harlem Avenue or something and killing, chasing down terrorists.
But
so he's watching
I
those
would
movies
take
and
that. I would bring that story closer to home.
Okay.
I would tell a story of a Nigerian boy or girl born in Borno State who saw the killings, decided to join the army, and became the best military commander who actually went back to his hometown or to his state and turned things around. What I mean in telling where we are and use the narrative to tell us where we need to go. That's the power of storytelling, right? Yes. So it's important for us to inspire the possibilities, right? So we are where we are. You know, this is not a question of right and wrong. This is a question of where we aspire to be. And to bring it back to your question about leadership, right? So leadership, again, we are our leaders are us. If today you took out the entire leadership cadre of Nigeria, if you refill it up, it will still be the same, behavior. So it is very important, to your point, Mariah, is from when we were young, civil studies, how to be a responsible citizen, knowing who you are and what your responsibilities are. It's something that needs to be inbuilt. Right?
From a very early stage.
Absolutely. So just recently I saw a elected official of government talking to a Nigerian military officer, calling him a fool to his face. I mean, you just look
Meanwhile,
at...
in the US, for example, if you see a uniformed person, you
It's,
say thank you
for your service. Right, absolutely. So it is also the way we also train, right? It's consciousness. It starts young, right?
And Mariah, I want to bring you in here because I think that's what you're saying. You're saying if we, and Camille, you're right, the leaders are us, we are the leaders. But what Mariah is saying is if we know that we are the leaders and the leaders are us, then can we start changing? Because we know that what we're seeing is not currently, but I don't want to put the words in your mouth.
Can I go back to what Camille was saying concerning this example of the leader speaking to an army officer? And that's also part of the issue that we can stem from the lack of storytelling. And I think Camille mentioned it earlier. We need to stop reacting.
Right, very active.
Now, what we do is react when issues happen. But what systems have been put in place that a minister knows? So, for example, maybe the minister is even right. Maybe the land was illegally grown. Maybe there's a way that they realize that the papers are wrong. Fine. But there's got to be a process, a procedure. Even the naval officer too. How do we meet each other as two top-level officials to have a conversation, a civilized conversation on how this land issue can be resolved without having you going to demolish or go to meet and engage a lower junior officer? It's all about putting a system in place. You would not see a foreign high-level minister in a different country walking up to go and demolish.
That conversation would happen.
So instead of reacting, what is the system in place? What's the procedure? What's the standard operations of when you want to engage a top-level officer on this kind of issues? So it's about us. Storytelling in the sense that let us create a system. So that's really what storytelling is. Create a system on the how-tos. This is going forward when we want to engage. So a wike should know that it is very wrong of me as a minister to having to go to engage somebody. If this issue is about the top level,
there's a process.
There's a process.
And it's just mannerism.
Also, may I also add, we had the issue recently of a Regina Daniel and her husband, who is a senator. Now, you see, we are again reacting. When this man married a 17-year-old, where was society?
That's good.
Where did we say, hey, there's a system here. There's a system. You cannot even marry this person in the first place. If the system is not in place to fix that at the butt, at the nucleus, at the root, X years goes by and something happens and we're now reacting. Stop reacting. Put the system in place. Respect the system. Uphold the system. And then you wouldn't have a situation whereby we're now going back and forth reacting to issues.
I mean, I completely agree with you.
I would encourage each and every one of us who are engaged in this conversation and listening to this is that you also have a responsibility.
Absolutely.
Start where you are, right? Your inner circles, before you even go to the outer circle, be responsible, be the Nigerian that you want to see, be the Nigerian you want to emulate. Does that make sense? And over time, if we embed it into society, over time we'll groom the right leaders
and create the systems that replicate.
Absolutely, and then we'll get the best of us leading the rest of us.
I love it. That's a fantastic place to take a break, and we'll continue this conversation when we return. Welcome back to the show. We're still talking about brand Nigeria, reputation and soft power. And we've been having an amazing conversation with Camille and Morayo. So I want us to start to solution, right? Okay. What have we seen in other countries that has worked? Whether it's with storytelling, whether it's with how they, shape their narratives, they orient their citizens. What have we seen that has worked? That are some of the initiatives that Nigeria should begin to adopt. Mariah, let me start with you.
I think patriotism is one thing that I think has worked abroad. And
what does that mean, Mariah,
when you're
in the context of a Nigerian?
Because, you see, again, as I said earlier, storytelling is something that happens over time. You see, you can't wear patriotism. It's something that you eventually have to grow into. By behavior, belief, in trust. You have to earn the trust of the people. The Nigerian who's born into this country must feel secure. I mean, recently the government was trying to have every Nigerian have an NIN number. And as crazy and painstaking as it is, it's like a social security number for every Nigerian. Like that shows that you're seen. The medical system sees you. The employment system sees you. The transportation system sees you. They know who you are. They know where you live. And they can support you. This number gives me access to get a loan. And they see how government is helping them. Gradually, they begin to see the need to believe in the government and believe in the system. So patriotism, we can't wear it, but eventually over time. So I think what works abroad is because the system, like every American, every British, every Australian, or every Canadian know that the system knows where they are. Right. They are seen by the system. And I think Nigerians still want to be seen, want to be heard, want to be felt by the system. Once that happens, gradually Nigerians begin to believe in who they are. And the dignity of the Nigerian pride begins to emanate from the people.
Absolutely.
All right. I love that. Preach. Absolutely.
Mariah be preaching. Camille, what would you add to that?
I'm happy we're now talking solutions because as Mariah mentioned earlier, over the years, we know what the problem is. Let's stop talking. Let's get to the doing.
Yes.
The first solution I would put out there, it's the power of words, the power of words, how we actually talk about ourselves. You know, the average Nigerian would tear Nigeria down. And you know, words are so powerful. God created the entire world with words, right? So you have to be careful with your words. That's why it's called spelling, because you cast a spell, right? So when we talk about Nigeria, we preaching, right? You know, when we talk about Nigeria, we need to talk up our country rather than talking down and tearing down our country. First solution, that's the number one, because what you put into the world is what usually manifests. So as Nigerians, the first step in the right direction is to choose our words carefully.
Camille, I need to ask this for somebody who's gonna watch this, maybe only ate once a day, and is saying, okay, he says we should talk up our country.
Yes.
I only ate once, but I'll talk up my country.
Yes, I believe in Nigeria. One day, it go better.
It go better.
For me, that's the first thing. Let's try. Yes, I haven't eaten, but I believe that this land is a land of milk and honey.
And one day will come.
One day.
Where I can eat 3 square meals
a day.
Just, you know, like without
3
any
square meals is
hassle.
not healthy for you. Let me even say something, you know. Growing up, I went to Corona Primary and Secondary School, and there was a child, I think it was it was a scholarship. His parents were very poor. And they brought him to Corona because the father wanted a better future. You see, when they told me the story of this man, I think he was a carpenter. And as a carpenter, he knew he wanted the best for his child. So he raised that child to have an identity that, you know what, you can do more than what I've done. Everything he earned, as small as it was, he used to fund that boy's education.
Right.
When the boy was so smart, he got full scholarship into our school. Now, this poor man, when he comes for maybe open day and stuff like that, he never felt defeated because his child was, though he would stay in a small corner, but he took pride in the little money that he had, that my child is here. He was, and the principal who was giving the story saw that boy, the trajectory of this boy's career. The guy is in the US now, the young boy. I mean, he went to secondary school, went to university now, and the family's life has transformed. What am I telling you? Because you are poor and eat once a day, doesn't mean that you should lack dignity or should not be thankful for your country or be prideful where you are. Poverty is in levels. Yes, the poorest of the poor, there's no excuse. But even the Bible tells us that there will be the rich, there will be the poor amongst us. Our job is to help each other.
That's right.
Create a system that supports that poor man, provides a scholarship. So even though he might not have the car you have, he might not drive the kind of the vehicles you drive, he might not even live in the kind of house that you live in, but he's able to feed. He's able to have a dignified, decent life.
Absolutely.
That is contentment. And once he's content, it's enough. So the point I was trying to make is that even if you are poor, you must still not use that as an excuse to hate your country.
Or for bad behavior.
For bad behavior.
I appreciate that.
And you know, when we talk about poor, I don't see us as a people, or a country that is poor. It is just poor management of the resources that we have. Nigeria is a great nation. Everybody say great.
Great.
Nigeria is a great nation. And we need to begin to internalize that belief. Because when we believe that we're a great people, we believe we're a great nation, we start to manifest greatness, right? So for me, this is where I keep saying the power of how we even see ourselves. Now, if we don't even believe, hear what people are saying about us. Hear what others say about us. Today, the world sees us better than we see ourselves.
Agreed.
Right? Don't aspire to leave, believe that if I am the best and the brightest here, the world will find me. I went to Mayflower Secondary School, and Tai Sholari will always teach us that if you live in the woods, if you're the best at what you do, the world will make a path to your door. So let us work hard together and make Nigeria great. The world will make a path.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Okay, we're going to go to audience questions shortly, but I want you to tell us, brand Nigeria, the one we all desire, the one that both of you have just been talking about. What are some of the specific characteristics of that brand that you would like to see, that you would like to hear? What are those stories? What would be told?
We're the smartest in the world.
Let's go.
If we're looking for smart people, educated, knowledgeable people, Nigerians. Just find us. Wherever you are, Zambia, Iceland, just find a Nigerian. When you see a Nigerian, don't worry, you'll be fine because they are the smartest. They will definitely link you up.
Absolutely.
To what you're going to do to make your life better. Because wherever we find ourselves, we develop it.
And I love that. And there's a saying that wherever in the world you go and there is no Nigerian there, you better leave because nothing's happening.
When I keep saying diaspora, what I mean is that your colleagues or counterparts are doing well. It means that you have it inside here. And we can harness the same thing inside Nigeria.
Yeah, we need to look inward. Absolutely.
Camille, what would you add to that before we go?
So I love that question, which is, what is the Nigeria that I desire, the one I see, what it looks like, what it feels like, is a Nigeria that commands respect on the international. When I travel with my Nigerian passport, doors open. Right? Currently,
now, those doors are not
it's not. Our ranking in terms of our passport, right, it's quite low. And we need to change that. With all of this beautiful soft power that we have, we need to convert it into hard power, right? So that would go into a passport that can take you around the world. That's the Nigeria that I see.
All right, so I think this is a perfect time to take a break. And when we return, we will be hearing from the audience. Welcome back to the show. We're still talking brand Nigeria, reputation, and soft power. But now we would like to take some questions from the audience.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and the conversation so far. My question is, how can the citizens play an active role in improving Nigeria's image?
Absolutely. Again, we started this conversation with me being very clear about brand Nigeria. The brand is us. We, the people, are the brand. So the power of the citizen is to know that I represent Nigeria. Like you said earlier, I carry Nigeria on my head anywhere I go, right? We must carry it and be the best, be the light. Wherever there's darkness, right? Be the light to bring, hope and inspiration, right, to that brand Nigeria. So you could, each and every one of you are the light Nigeria is waiting for. In all of this darkness, be the light to shine the light on Nigeria that we are a great people. We're a great nation. It begins with us. It begins with each and every one of us. So it is a collective responsibility. Don't outsource it. Let them, no. You and I are them.
Wow. All right, can we take our next question?
My question goes like this. How can a creative expression and responsible leadership work together to change the perception of Nigeria?
So creative expression and responsible leadership coming together to shape the perception that people have of Nigeria. So we don't want to outsource to just the creatives.
Correct.
So they've done their work, Afrobeats,
right.
Nollywoods. But how can responsible leadership partner?
Correct.
I think that's the question that for government officials, because the truth is that many of them have left these various industries fallow for many years. I know recent government officials have tried to see what they can bridge the gap, especially the Ministry of Tourism. I know that done some work to engage the creatives. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I think what we need from them is to make it more seamless. You see, policy is great, but when it's not broken down to easy steps for Nigerians to be able to harness the power within, it's hard.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in the creative space, and I know that government says, oh, we've done this, we've done that, but it is still difficult for the average man to get access, to get support. People have ideas. The creative economy is huge, but it's not, the ecosystem is not built enough, it's not big enough to accommodate. So we have makeup artists. What system is in place to harness the power within that makeup industry, to make it a bigger force? So there's so much to be done. So government needs to play a bigger role, not lip service, but actual break it down for Nigerians to see what they can do to make it, to expand the industry, make it accessible, and create a system that is formidable and exportable, so Nigerians can benefit from it going forward. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Let me add to that. In a few years, Nigeria would have 60% of our population will be under 30. And one of the things we need to focus on is educating. Having an educated, skilled young population is so critical, for us to ensure that we have, because that's the foundation to build a great nation. We educate, we skill them. There's a difference between being educated and being skilled. Very, very important, so that we can be competitive with their counterparts around the world.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, so I think we have one more question.
So my question is, for someone that is from the diaspora that have never been to Nigeria before, and the only perception or information they have of Nigeria is the information from Western media, what advice would you give to that person if you want to convince them to come to Nigeria?
That's a good question.
Morai, let me start with you.
Yeah, Morai.
You sure you want to start with me? I'd like to hear from Khalil first, because he's the diaspora man. So,
Absolutely.
I would like to hear from you.
The audience, for full transfer, the person who asked the question is a non-Nigerian. She's from the Caribbean, where she's my colleague.
Yeah.
She came from Trinidad and Tobago
Right.
on a visit to Nigeria. And she has not, so for the Nigerians who are listening, she has not gone back home. She lives now in Nigeria because Nigeria for her is, wow, this is not what they told me. You know the exercise we did earlier when I said, what do you think? She says now when she thinks of Nigeria, she thinks big boys. She thinks Afrobeats. She thinks of people who are so, Nigerians, we're very dignified people. We carry us, Nigeria, when we walk in, this person is Nigerian. That sense of self and pride that we have.
Yes.
So the answer to your question is, what would I tell the people in the diaspora why they should come home is, don't believe anything they've told you. Come yourself and
experience it.
Come and experience it.
Yeah.
I always say that I grew up in New York, right? And what I always say is New York has this brand that if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I'm like, the person never come Nigeria before. They never lived in Lagos, because Lagos is a mega city. I was in East Africa. The Kenyans asked me, why Nigerians so? I said, there's over 200 million of us. If you don't stand well, somebody else will take your spot. So we grew up in an environment that makes us naturally just smart, sharp, and because we gotta survive. And absolutely.
Nigerians are unmistakable.
Anywhere you go, you can tell this person is
anywhere.
So that's
absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks to the audience for those questions. Now, final thoughts. This has been just such a rich conversation, and I'm going to thank you in the end shortly, but I'm just so grateful that both of you would share in the way that you have. And I have no doubt that when people watch this, they would be inspired, because just sitting here, I have been inspired. So what would be your final thoughts? Camille, let's start with you. Patriotism, whatever you want to talk
Absolutely.
about.
No, this has been a great conversation. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about the possibilities of the Nigeria that we want.
Yes.
Can I get an amen to that tonight?
Yes.
Just when I think of that possibilities, I get excited.
Yeah.
My final thought would be this. We are the biggest black nation on this planet.
That's right.
Over 200 million of us. Yes? We have a responsibility to people who look like us everywhere else around the world. Did you know that the largest population of people that look like you and I live in Brazil? Did you know this?
Yes.
Right, Brazil. Not the US, in Brazil. Over 100 million people that look like you and I live in Brazil today. We are all over the world, people of African origin, sometimes in unexpected places. With my organization at the most influential people of African descent, we interact from A to Z, from Argentina to Zimbabwe, people of African descent from all over the world. It is okay for us to be dispersed around the world, but what is not okay is the disconnection. And why Nigeria matters in that narrative is because we're the biggest black nation. When we get it right, it will reverberate across the black world.
That's right.
If we build a country that everybody's proud of, why do we have to leave? Everybody will come and contribute to the glory of building the continent. So we are the big brother, I would say, for everybody that looks like us. We need to, as a big brother, you're the firstborn, show some responsibility.
That's right. Show some responsibility.
Be responsible. Know that there are other people who are looking up to us to get it right. Because when we do, it would be a pride. Listen, the respect and the dignity that we're looking for as people, as melanated people, of people of African descent, will not come until the world respects Africa.
That's right.
And we are the ones, they will not do that for us. We are the ones who have to build that. So my final word is, let's look inward. Let's be the big brother who's responsible. And here's the most important one. Love. Love. Let us love our nation. Let us speak up and raise up our people and ourselves. And sooner or later, it will become our reality.
For me, my final words are pretty short because believe in Nigeria for yourself. Because it's about you. You see, no slight to Camille, but I take pride and I tell everybody who cares to listen. I have one passport. All my children were born here. All my stakes are here. I don't have any options.
Right.
So those of you who sit down on social media listening to celebrities, all these people, they're talking nonsense about Nigeria, they have options. They have 2 passports. Their children are born abroad. If blah happens, next Friday they're out.
Yeah, true.
You and I are here. My children, they're all born here. I can't go anywhere.
Right.
So before you start listening to all sorts of things on social media, know who are the real stakeholders. Believe in Nigeria for yourself. Because our children are going to be here.
Yeah.
My primary school children, they are here. Secondary school, I told my children, that university abroad, I'm not sure. Because for me, I would rather you have your first degree here. They go and do masters abroad, but that first degree, because it gives you that rootedness, that groundedness you need. So we love Nigeria for yourself. It's important.
I love that.
Once you believe that, anything anybody says, it's on them. You are a stakeholder in this business.
I love that.
Wow.
Don't envy those of us that have options. Don't envy.
Look, it has been such an insightful conversation reflecting on brand Nigeria, our reputation, and our soft power.
Yes.
I would like to thank our guests for their contributions, our live audience for your incredible energy. Yes. And of course, to our viewers for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and share your thoughts on today's episode using the hashtag #TheNigeriaWeWant. I'm Abosede Jojagan. Until next episode, remember, women's leadership can change everything, everywhere.
I love that. I actually love that.